All right, so shout out to Anthony O'Neill. He's been quite vulnerable in this internet social media streets, talking about his dating experiences and all that kind of stuff. Anthony O'Neill is the guy who used to co-host with Dave Ramsey on this money show. I think it was on Fox. I'm not sure if it's still on, but I think he left Dave Ramsey anyway. But anyway, he's been in this internet social media streets in recent times. If you recall, we covered him quite a bit. He was talking about not being celibate as a youth pastor, and he got dragged all over the place, especially in the Christendom scenes, And shout out to him for sharing, for being real. At least he's being real. And a lot of people will shy away from telling us the real deal when it comes down to the human experience, and especially a man who is 39, 40, 41, 42 years old, who's never been married, who's doesn't have any kids, and I call them walking red flag. Not to shame them or anything like that, just so they can pay attention that there's probably a reason why you've been hanging around for 25 years, falling into multiple kwekus by mistake and not locking something up, especially when this, in fact, your desire. So he's made that known that that's what he wants. He wants to be married. He wants to, live on a waterfront and then live happily ever after. As a matter of fact, he wants his woman to know that he's always loved her even long before he met her. That's one of the things he said that was quite interesting on this particular podcast with a lady called Donnie. All right. So that's Anthony O'Neill right there. But why am I bringing this up to speed today? He talked about his philosophy about dating. He said a lot of young men are coming to him and they're asking him advice because I guess many of them are ending up spending a lot of money on dates that doesn't result to anything. He talked about, he gave a particular example of a particular year when he dated about six ladies, and he noticed that at the end of that year he had spent $12,000 on those dates because he keeps track of everything. He's very particular and he keeps track of everything, and he recorded. He should, right? I guess he should. $12,000 in that one year on dates with six ladies. You do the math: six ladies, $12,000, about $500 each, but none of them resulted into anything. Okay, so and he used the language ROI is bad for a lot of these young men. So he said, if you're making $99,999.99 or less in any given year, you should not spend more than $100 on any date. I would probably even take it further, like $100 on a date. Well, $100 is not a lot of money. It depends on where you live, anyway. If you live in Akure, obviously your mind is going crazy right now. And if you live in New York City, you're like, probably you pay 100 before you pay the toll gates back and forth between Jersey and New York City. You probably already spent $55. But anyway, I digress. But anyway, the point here I'm making here is that so he gave this philosophy. He said return on investment. That's the first problem. Okay, that language is an indication of a certain type of mindset. Okay, and it's probably a good reason why you would struggle. If you have that kind of mindset around dating, you will struggle. You see, when you go out on a date, you take a young lady out on a date. In the best mindset is to consider it, this is you going out to have a good time, and of course you're bringing a nice looking beautiful young lady along with you to come and have a good time with you. So you really should not be spending any money you wouldn't spend by yourself if you were hanging out with your boys, or if you're just hanging out. You shouldn't be doing that anyway. That should have been the mindset from the get-go, right? And if you're busy trying to impress women by spending a certain amount of money, then there's a good chance that you will in fact struggle, because you will basically attach your expectations around the money you're spending. He talked about he's doing this because the finances is one of the reasons why marriages struggle. I beg to differ. Okay, I know what is being recorded with all the data sources, with all the data sources out there. The courthouse, what is being recorded is finances, infidelity, irreconcilable differences. But those are the surface stuff. Those are the symptoms of deeply rooted problems. One of the deeply rooted problems, at least we probably can dig deeper, but at least unrealistic expectations, right? What you do when you spend certain amount of money, either much or lower, is you set certain expectations around the amount of money you spend, and you're still disappointed. You see, if you were doing it for yourself, as in like from a natural, organic place, you probably your expectations are better controlled, right? Than if you say, well, if I spend this amount of money by the end of the year, I should have a wife already. See, that expectation is going to throw you off. You're going to be disappointed for every milestone you start to let me record. Let me take a recording. Let's see how far we've gone. See, you're probably going to be disappointed with that kind of mindset, regardless of how low you spend or how much you spend. There are men that spend nothing and they feel very entitled when they go out with a young lady. Well, where's the entitlement coming from? Well, where's disappointment coming from? It's coming from entitlement. It's coming from expectations. So I think one of the major reasons why marriages are falling apart, failing and falling apart. One of the major reasons is unrealistic expectations, entitlement, because I'm a good guy, because I am a good girl. So therefore, I should be able to attract good women. Well, yeah, that mindset right there, you're probably gonna fail. As opposed to, well, I'm good enough, right? I'm just good. I want to go out on a date. I'm going out on a date. I'm gonna go have a good time. Well, what about how much money you're going to spend? That's your responsibility, your resources, how you manage your resources on a normal day. Outside of this date, you would manage your resources. It's a mindset thing, okay? So you should manage your resources anyway, right? So if on that day you lost control of yourself and you spent $250, uh, that's something you should hold yourself accountable for. And again, it's a mindset thing. It's not about the specifics. So Arthur O'Neill kept talking about all this stuff, and then he tried to translate it to that's this philosophy and all. But the philosophies are not working. If the philosophies are not working, you might want to pay attention to what is it beyond the surface level stuff that's not working. Clearly, doing math is not going to work. You reverse engineer spending $12,000 in that given year into dating, you're still struggling. Now, his reputation in the streets, according to the young lady Donnie, is that it's cheap. And it's like, well, I like it. Do you like it? What do you like? Or are you deceiving yourself? Because at the end of the day, the results are not what you like. Okay. Again, there's no end all be all anything here. It's just to open up the conversation, right? Is there a certain amount of money you should spend on any particular type of event? Yes, but that's like on any event. But would that translate to good dating experience? No. Okay, because like they said in the podcast, you can actually have a date where you sit down in your car with a young lady and you can have a conversation and you don't want to leave, right? And I know people that say, well, you have to show some effort. You probably don't like that person. If you like that person enough, every move they make in engaging you is already more than enough effort. You're not thinking about it. You're just having a good time. You're loving every second you're spending with that person. And the last thing you're doing is counting how much money they spent with you. All right. And if you're counting how much money they're spending with you, there's a good chance you're just getting older and older and you're not getting the result you're looking for. Right. So go figure, right? Young people, the younger you are, the more innocent you are. The more you spend time out here trying to figure out exactly what becomes what, the more calculative you become, and it just becomes um, more problems. You're collecting more bodies, and I mean that figuratively, not necessarily physically. You're collecting more trauma, and you're probably going to use that to come up with more weird solutions or more weird formulas that will still not work. We just complicate. See, the human brain is a very it's a very funny thing. The more complicated the older you get, more experience you get, the more complicated it becomes because you're actively trying to protect yourself with weird formulas. So, what is the solution here? I'm asking you that question. Let me hear your thoughts. What's the solution here? Okay, I think it's in the direction of like everybody just calm down. Okay, but I want to hear your thoughts in the comment area. I'm going to come back quite often like this when I get some ideas. So, but answer this question first. What is the solution here? Okay, see, me, I've been out of the scene for 17 years, right? But there's clearly a conversation that we need to have here. What is the solution here? If you're struggling with this in dating, you will definitely struggle in relationships, and you will struggle in marriage. You will struggle in marriage because the core issue is not necessarily the dating. It just happens to be a phase in the whole thing. And we're talking to people that truly they are marriage minded and they want marriage and they want successful marriage where they are not going head to head with their partner from time to time. Let me know what your thoughts are. I'll be right back.